The Earth stood still under the shadow of the Galactic Empire. For years, humanity had been unaware of the vast power that ruled the stars, but today was different. Today, the Empire's ships loomed above Earth's atmosphere like dark clouds of impending doom. Their fleet was massive, an armada of gleaming ships that stretched across the sky. Each ship was a symbol of unstoppable force, and they were here for one reason: to conquer Earth. The Empire's emissary, a towering figure cloaked in dark armor, stepped onto the stage in front of Earth's leaders. His voice boomed across the globe, transmitted through every screen, every device. "Surrender now, and we will show mercy," the emissary declared. His words echoed through the hearts of every listener. "Resist, and you will face extinction. This is your final warning." On the ground, panic spread like wildfire. The leaders of Earth gathered in secret, huddled in underground bunkers. Their once united governments now struggled to find a common ground. Some wanted to surrender, thinking survival was better than fighting. Others argued that humanity's pride was at stake, that they could never bow to such an oppressive force. But despite their debate, one thing was clear: time was running out. The Empire's fleet waited in silence, its guns trained on Earth. The countdown to Earth's fate had begun. In a hidden chamber, the President of Earth, Thomas Lawson, stared at the holographic display in front of him. The blue glow of the Earth's map flickered as the Empire's ships positioned themselves above various continents. Lawson's hand trembled as he wiped the sweat from his brow. "We're not ready," he whispered to his closest advisors. "We can't fight this. We can't win." But not everyone shared his fear. Hannah Eleanor Drake, the leader of Earth's military forces, stood firm. Her face was hardened with resolve. "We don't know that for sure," she said, her voice strong and steady. "We have resources we haven't used yet. We have weapons they don't know about. General, we don't have the time." Lawson shot back. "The Empire's fleet is already in position. We can't win a war we didn't prepare for." Drake's gaze never wavered. "Then we find another way. We've been working on something in secret, something we haven't shared with the rest of the world. The Black Fleet is out there." Lawson froze. The Black Fleet was a myth, a secret project whispered about by the highest-ranking officials, but dismissed by most as fantasy. Some said it was a forgotten force from humanity's past, hidden deep in the far reaches of space. Others thought it was simply an urban legend, but Drake's words stirred something deep inside Lawson. A glimmer of hope, the kind that could only survive in the darkest of times. The Black Fleet, if it existed, could be the key to saving humanity. It was a fleet unlike anything the Empire had ever encountered, a fleet shrouded in mystery, with advanced technology far beyond Earth's current capabilities. But was it real? And if it was, would it come in time? As the leaders of Earth continued their frantic discussions, the Empire's emissary gave them no time to think. His message was clear: "We have waited long enough. The fate of your world is in our hands. Make your choice. Surrender or face your extinction." The world seemed to hold its breath. People gathered in their homes, glued to their screens, hoping for some sign of a miracle. Children clung to their parents, not fully understanding the gravity of the situation, but sensing the fear in the air. The skies above were silent, but the threat hung heavy. In the vastness of space, the Empire's fleet remained motionless, waiting. Its commanders were patient, confident in their strength. They knew that Earth would bend before them. The might of their technology, their armies, and their advanced weaponry would crush anything that dared resist. But what the Empire didn't know was that Earth was not as helpless as it appeared. Deep in the heart of Earth's most classified bays, General Drake and a small group of military officers worked furiously to activate the Black Fleet. They knew that the odds were slim, but they had to try. They had no other choice. Drake pressed a series of buttons on a holographic panel, the soft hum of machinery filling the room. "This is our only chance," she said, her voice tight with urgency. "If they don't come, we're done for. But if they do, we may have a shot." The room fell silent as the transmission was sent out into the void of space. It was a signal, a call for help, a desperate plea for survival, a signal that could very well mean the end of the Empire's reign over Earth. As the seconds ticked by, the world watched and waited. The fate of humanity rested in the hands of a mysterious fleet. Would they arrive in time, or would the Empire's ultimatum be the last message Earth ever received? The galaxy held its breath, and Earth's survival hung in the balance. The Empire's ultimatum was clear, and the countdown to Earth's destruction had begun. The first waves of their assault fleet hovered just beyond the atmosphere, ready to strike at any moment. Panic swept across Earth, but for a select few, hope wasn't entirely lost. In the shadows, a plan was unfolding, one that had been kept secret for decades. Earth's military, led by General Drake, had prepared a defense far more powerful than anyone had imagined. But there was one problem. No one knew if it would work. General Drake paced back and forth in the dimly lit command center, the tension in the air palpable. The Black Fleet, an ancient and enigmatic force, was humanity's last hope, but its activation was no simple task. Drake had spent years researching its existence, diving deep into the forgotten corners of Earth's history, where whispers of an extraordinary fleet still lingered. It had been built long ago, during humanity's first ventures into deep space, a fleet designed for a time of unimaginable war, but it had been abandoned, hidden, lost to the vast reaches of the galaxy. Now, Earth had no choice but to rely on it. "Has the signal been received?" Drake asked, her voice low but filled with urgency. She turned to her chief communications officer, Lieutenant Daniels, who was working tirelessly to monitor any incoming transmissions. "Yes, General," Daniels replied, his eyes flicking across the screens before him. "The Black Fleet has acknowledged the call. They're en route... But it will take time. Time we might not have." The officer's words hung in the air like a cold wind. Earth's military had always been prepared for battles on a global scale, but facing an enemy like the Galactic Empire, a force that spanned countless systems and wielded unimaginable power, was something entirely different. Drake knew this. Was no ordinary fight. The Black Fleet, if it arrived, could turn the tide. But there was a catch. Earth didn't know exactly who or what the Black Fleet was. The ships that formed this fleet were a mystery even to those who had helped build them. No one knew their full capabilities, or if they could even stand up to the Empire's overwhelming might. Yet, in the depths of the galaxy, the fleet's dormant power was waiting, hidden beneath layers of secrecy. Outside, Earth's cities were on edge. Military sirens wailed across major cities, and people scrambled to find shelter. Governments across the world sent out broadcasts, urging calm but offering no real solutions. Soldiers readied themselves for the inevitable assault, their eyes hardened by the weight of knowing that they were vastly outmasked. In Washington, D.C., President Lawson stood on the balcony of the White House, staring up at the night sky. It was filled with the light of 1,000 stars, but tonight it felt different. The silence felt unnatural. He thought back to his conversation with General Drake earlier in the day. The Black Fleet, could it really be their salvation? Or was it simply a myth, a relic of a bygone era that could never stand up to the might of the Empire? Meanwhile, deep in space, the Black Fleet was awakening. The fleet's core command, known as the Obsidian Enclave, was a world unto itself. It was a vast, hidden base built on a desolate planet, far from the prying eyes of the Empire. Here, a council of leaders, chosen from the bravest and most cunning of humanity's past warriors, oversaw the fleet's readiness. Their faces, etched with the scars of countless battles, were those who had sworn to defend Earth even if the rest of humanity had forgotten about them. The leader of the fleet, a figure known only as the Warden, stood at the head of the council. His face was obscured by a helmet, but his voice carried the weight of authority. "The call has been made," he said, his words cutting through the silence. "Earth is under siege, and we must respond. But we must tread carefully. The Empire will be expecting us. They think Earth is weak, vulnerable. We must show them otherwise." His second-in-command, a strategist named Meris, nodded in agreement. "We have the element of surprise on our side. We know the Empire's tactics. We know their weaknesses. We will strike quickly, decisively, and with overwhelming force. But we must act soon, before the Empire can crush the planet's defenses." The Warden's eyes gleamed with cold determination. "We must remind the galaxy why humanity's name is feared. The Black Fleet is not just a weapon, it is a symbol of the resilience of our people. And when we strike, the galaxy will remember that humans do not surrender." With that, the order was given. The Black Fleet would leave its sanctuary and make its way to Earth, back on Earth. General Drake and her team worked frantically to prepare their own defenses. They had little time, but they also had a secret weapon, the most powerful weapon humanity had ever created. It was buried deep within Earth's military strongholds, hidden from the Empire and everyone else. The weapon, codenamed Gauntlet, was humanity's final card to play. It had been designed as a failsafe, a tool for fighting back against the most powerful forces in the galaxy. But like the Black Fleet, it had never been fully tested. Drake couldn't help but wonder, would it be enough to hold the Empire off until the Black Fleet arrived? Or would it be too little, too late? As the hours passed, the tension only grew. Earth's military had no idea if the Black Fleet would arrive in time, or if it could even defeat the Empire. All they knew was that this was their last stand. The fate of humanity was hanging by a thread, and the waiting was the hardest part. But the Empire, as confident as it was, had underestimated one thing: the spirit of humanity. In the darkest moments, when all seemed lost, that spirit could never be extinguished. And just as the Empire's ships prepared to descend upon Earth, something began to stir in the void of space. The Black Fleet was coming, and with it, humanity's hope. Asterisk, as the final hour of Earth's countdown approached, the silence of space became unbearable. Every second felt like an eternity, every minute like a crushing weight on the shoulders of humanity. The Empire's ships, sleek and imposing, were now hovering just above Earth's atmosphere, waiting for the signal to launch their deadly assault. Their leaders, confident and arrogant, believed victory was already assured. Earth, a backwater planet, was no match for the vast military might of the Galactic Empire. But then, From the darkness of deep space, something unexpected began to stir. The first sign of the Black Fleet's arrival came as a ripple in the fabric of space itself. A faint, almost imperceptible tremor passed through the void, a signal that not even the Empire could detect, yet those who had been waiting for it felt it. General Drake's hands clenched around the edge of her command center's console as she stared at the readings in front of her. The signature was unmistakable. "They're here," she whispered, a surge of hope flooding through her veins. The Black Fleet had arrived, far beyond the reach of the Empire's sensors. Massive warships began to materialize in the inky blackness of space, their shapes long and angular, their hulls bathed in shadows. These were not the sleek, polished ships of the Empire. No, the Black Fleet's vessels were built for war, designed to strike fear into any who saw them. Each ship was a beast of metal and fire, its weapon systems far beyond the capabilities of anything Earth had ever known. The first ship to emerge was a leviathan of destruction, its massive hull like a great serpent cutting through space. It was the Obsidian Reaver, flagship of the Black Fleet, a ship so immense that its size alone seemed to distort the stars around it. Behind it, the rest of the fleet followed, smaller, but no less deadly. The ships formed a perfect formation, as if they had always been together, as if they had never left. General Drake's heart raced as the screens before her flickered to life. She watched as the fleet moved into position, their weapons charging, their engines purring with a power that made even the mighty Empire's ships look like toys. But as much as she was in awe of the Black Fleet, she knew the battle had just begun. The Galactic Empire, unaware of the Black Fleet's arrival, continued their preparations. They were focused solely on Earth, ready to extinguish humanity's defiance once and for all. But that would soon change. As the Empire's ships began to power their weapons, a flash of bright light cut through the darkness. The Black Fleet struck a devastating barrage of energy blasts erupted from the Obsidian Reaver, its weapons lighting up the sky. The first wave of the Empire's ships disintegrated into debris in a blinding flash of light. The shock waves of the explosion rippled through the space around them, sending smaller ships tumbling and spinning in chaos. The Empire's commanders were thrown into confusion. They hadn't expected anything like this. Their fleets, trained and prepared for decades of war, were now at the mercy of an enemy they could not see coming. Panic spread through the ranks as their ships were torn apart by the relentless barrage. "Report, what's happening?" an Empire officer shouted, her voice filled with disbelief. The cold, calculated precision of the Empire had been shattered in an instant. "They're attacking us," one of her officers replied, fear creeping into his voice. "But where are they coming from? These ships, they're like nothing we've ever seen." From the darkness of space, the Black Fleet moved as one, their ships striking with brutal efficiency. With each blow, the Empire's confidence faltered. The Black Fleet's weapons tore through the Empire's shields, breaking through their defenses like paper. Explosions lit up the sky, each one a testament to the power of this unknown force back on Earth. The people watched in awe as the battle unfolded in real time. News stations broadcasted the images of the war in space, and for the first time in days, there was hope. Humanity wasn't alone. The Black Fleet had come, and they were fighting back. But the battle was far from over. On the command deck of the Obsidian Reaver, the Warden stood motionless, his helmeted gaze fixed on the battle unfolding before him. His voice, cold and commanding, resonated through the ship's comm system. "We fight for Earth, for humanity. Show no mercy. This is our moment. With a single command, the fleet moved again, swarming over the remaining Empire ships. The Black Fleet's advanced weaponry sent out waves of shock pulses that incapacitated the Empire's most powerful vessels. The Empire's pride was crumbling, and in that crumbling, a new hope for Earth was born. Yet, even as the Empire began to retreat, something darker stirred within the heart of the Black Fleet. They had arrived to protect humanity, but what did really mean? What was the cost of this intervention? Was the Black Fleet's arrival a rescue, or the beginning of a much larger war? As the last of the Empire's ships fled into the darkness, General Drake couldn't help but feel uneasy. The Black Fleet had saved Earth, but at what cost? And more importantly, what did the Black Fleet want in return? In the wreckage of the Empire's forces, one thing was certain: the galaxy would never be the same again. The Black Fleet had arrived, and with it, a new chapter in humanity's history had begun. But questions lingered in the air, questions that would soon demand answers. The tide of battle had shifted, but the war was far from over. The Black Fleet, having decimated the first wave of the Empire's ships, now turned their focus toward Earth itself. The Empire, retreating into the depths of space, was far from defeated. They would regroup, rebuild, and return with a vengeance. But for the moment, Earth was safe, or so it seemed. General Drake stood at the command center, staring at the holographic display of the battlefield. The Empire's once mighty fleet was scattered, their ships crippled or destroyed, but the victory felt hollow. The Black Fleet had saved them, but for what price? Who were they, really? What did they want? "We have to be ready," Drake murmured to herself. The Black Fleet may have saved us today, but their intentions are still unclear. Behind her, Lieutenant Daniels watched the readings with growing unease. "General, the Black Fleet, they haven't moved away. They're still in orbit." Drake's mind raced. She had always trusted in the strength of Earth's military, but this was different. The Black Fleet was no mere ally. They were a force from the dark unknown, and no one knew what their true motives were. The fleet's power, its technology, was beyond anything Earth had ever seen. They had come to Earth when it seemed there was no hope left, but now, as the dust of the battle settled, the uneasy feeling in Drake's chest grew heavier. "Send a message," she ordered. "Tell them we appreciate their help, but we need to know more. We can't just sit here, waiting for the next attack, without understanding who we're dealing with." As Daniels prepared the message, Earth's leaders were already making their own plans. The planet had been saved, but the threat of the Empire was far from over. The Galactic Empire would not take this defeat lightly. They would rebuild, and they would strike again harder, faster, and with more fury. In the heart of the Black Fleet, aboard the Obsidian Reaper, the Warden stood before his council, his voice calm but filled with an icy authority. "We have done what was needed. Earth is secure for now, but our mission is far from complete." Maris, his second-in-command, stepped forward, her expression grim. "The Empire will regroup. They will not forget this defeat, and they will come back stronger. We must be ready." The Warden nodded. "Yes, we cannot let our guard down. Earth's people must be prepared for the challenges ahead, but we must also consider the larger picture. The Empire's reach is vast, and this battle, this victory, is but a small part of a much greater war that stretches across the stars." Maris hesitated. "What do you mean?" "The Galactic Empire is not just a threat to Earth," the Warden said, his voice growing colder. Their conquest spans entire galaxies, and they will not stop. But the Black Fleet, we are the answer to that. We are the force that will restore balance to the galaxy. The Council fell silent, the weight of his words sinking in. They knew what he was saying. The Black Fleet was not just a protector of Earth, it was something much larger. The fleet's true mission was not to simply defend Earth. It was to dismantle the Empire's reign once and for all. A new alliance had been formed, one that would change the course of history. But as the Black Fleet lingered in Earth's orbit, questions swirled. How far would this alliance go? And what was the cost of the Black Fleet's intervention? Back on Earth, President Lawson gathered his advisors, his face etched with worry. The Black Fleet had saved them, but now he feared what might come next. He knew they couldn't survive another attack from the Empire, but he also knew that their continued reliance on the Black Fleet would come with consequences. "We cannot keep depending on them," Lawson said, his voice firm. "We need to take control of our own fate. We have to rebuild, and we have to do it quickly. The Empire will not let this stand." But General Drake was not so sure. "We can't just cast them aside, Mr. President. The Black Fleet is our only hope of defeating the Empire for good." Lawson nodded, but his mind was elsewhere. The Black Fleet had proven their power. But what would happen when their mission was complete? What would they want in exchange for their help? And more importantly, could Earth survive once the Black Fleet turned its attention elsewhere? As these thoughts lingered, a new transmission from the Black Fleet came in. It was a message, brief but direct, sent to Earth's leadership. The battle is over. The Empire will rebuild. But remember, this war is far from over. The Black Fleet will be watching. The transmission ended abruptly, leaving only silence in its wake. Back in the command center, General Drake and her team processed the message. There was no answer, no plan for the future, just a warning, a reminder that Earth's survival was far from guaranteed. As the Black Fleet hung in the sky, a cold truth settled in. They had saved Earth, but they had not come to offer peace. They had come to wage a much larger war, and humanity had been thrust into the middle of it. The battle for Earth was over, but the war for the galaxy had just begun. The Black Fleet had arrived, and with it, a dark new chapter in human history. One that no one, not even Earth's bravest leaders, were fully prepared for. The question remained: would humanity stand alongside the Black Fleet, or would they become pawns in a greater game, a game that could lead to their ultimate destruction? The days that followed the Black Fleet's arrival were a blur of military strategy and political maneuvering. The Galactic Empire, though bruised and battered, had begun its long retreat into the vast reaches of space. But their retreat was far from a defeat. They had only temporarily withdrawn to regroup, and every intelligence report coming in from Earth satellites confirmed that the Empire was plotting its next move more dangerous, more determined than ever. Meanwhile, the Black Fleet remained in Earth's orbit, casting a long shadow over the planet. The fleet's presence was both a blessing and a curse. Humanity now had its protectors, but no one could deny the growing tension. Earth had been saved, yes, but what did it cost? And more importantly, what were the true goals of the Black Fleet? General Drake, who had once been so sure of her mission, now found herself torn between two conflicting realities. She had been thrust into an alliance with a fleet that could obliterate their enemies. Yet that same fleet carried secrets she couldn't fully understand. The Black Fleet had saved Earth, but they were not here for humanitarian reasons. They were here because the galaxy's larger battle called for it. In the command center, Drake stood before a map of Earth's defense systems, her mind racing with the overwhelming responsibility. The Black Fleet had promised to stay with them until the Empire was defeated once and for all. But how long would that promise hold? And what would the Black Fleet want in return for their aid? General, a voice interrupted her thoughts. It was Lieutenant Daniels, his face pale. We've intercepted another transmission. It's from the Empire. Drake stiffened. Play it. The screen flickered, and a cold, emotionless voice filled the room. This is Admiral Zorith of the Galactic Empire. Earth, you have made a grave mistake. The Black Fleet has proven a temporary inconvenience, but we are not defeated. This galaxy is under our control, and you will bow to the might of the Empire, or you will be destroyed. The transmission ended with a harsh, static noise. Admiral Zorith's words were like a slap to the face. The Empire had regrouped quickly, and they had come to one terrifying conclusion. Earth's defiance could not go unpunished. Drake's fist slammed against the console. We can't wait any longer. We need to strike first. President Lawson, who had been silent in the back, stepped forward. General, I understand the urgency, but we don't know everything about the Black Fleet. What if we push too far? What if their real mission is not to protect us, but to use us as pawns in a bigger war? Drake looked him in the eye, her expression hard. If we wait, Earth will be destroyed. We can't rely on the Black Fleet forever. We need to take action now, before the Empire has a chance to reorganize. The decision was made. Earth's military forces, now strengthened by the Black Fleet, prepared for their final confrontation with the Empire. This time, they would not just be defending Earth, they would be attacking the heart of the Empire's might. In space, the Black Fleet gathered around Earth, preparing for the upcoming assault. The Obsidian Reaver, flagship of the fleet, stood at the center, its dark hull gleaming ominously against the backdrop of space. The Warden, leader of the Black Fleet, stood before his council once again. Earth's leaders are ready, he said, his voice low and deliberate. They wish to strike first, to deliver the blow to the Empire before they can rebuild. But we must be cautious. This battle will not be as simple as the last. Maris, his second in command, raised an eyebrow. The Empire is not going to let this go, but what will we do after we defeat them? What do we gain from this war? The Warden's gaze turned cold. We gain control of the galaxy, and we ensure Earth's survival. But this is only the beginning. The Empire is one part of a larger machine. There are others out there, enemies even more dangerous than they are. Earth must be prepared for all of them. The Black Fleet's true mission was finally becoming clear to Maris. They had not come simply to protect Earth. They had come to reshape the entire galaxy. The Empire was merely the first target in a much larger plan. As the Black Fleet and Earth's military forces prepared to leave orbit, the final transmission from the Empire came in. It was a simple message, but one that carried the weight of the entire galaxy. We will be back, Admiral Zorith's voice crackled, and when we return, we will wipe Earth from the stars. With that, the transmission ended, leaving Earth's leaders to prepare for the inevitable. The final battle began as the combined forces of Earth and the Black Fleet set off toward the Empire's last stronghold in deep space. As they neared the Empire's fortress, the gravity of the situation settled in. This was no longer just a battle for Earth's survival. It was a battle for the future of the galaxy itself. The Empire's fortress loomed in the distance, a massive structure, hidden within the rings of a barren planet. The Black Fleet moved in formation, with Earth's warships close behind. The final confrontation was about to begin. General Drake stood at the helm of her flagship, watching the massive fortress grow larger in the viewports. The last remnants of the Empire's might were gathered here, but she knew they were no match for what was coming. "Prepare for battle," Drake ordered, her voice steady despite the storm of thoughts raging in her mind. "This is for Earth. This is for humanity." With the Black Fleet at their side, Earth's military launched the final assault. The first wave of explosions rocked the Empire's fortress, sending shockwaves through the system. As the battle raged on, one thing became clear. Earth would not fall without a fight. The Black Fleet had come to stay, and the galaxy would never be the same again. The fate of the universe now rested in the hands of humanity.